First post here, I hope you enjoy it. So yesterday I wanted to drive home after work. I work as a mechanic. Like I always do, one of my friends who lives near that workshop asks me if we want to hang out, so of course. And the moment I get in my car, a typical Karen gets out of a car and runs to me. She screams at me, "Stop stealing that car." I said, this is my car. I bought it a few months ago. It's a 350Z. It got different wheels and a small spoiler plus a different exhaust. She then starts to drag me out of the car and screams, "Don't lie to me. You can't even drive. You don't have a driver's license." I then give her my license. And oh boy, now SHS starts to go 50% Karen mode. "This is fake. I call the cops unless you give this car to my daughter, 10 or 11 years old." I told her, "If you want to call the cops, do it." Karen now 100% Karen mode, calls the cops. After 5 minutes the cops arrive. Karen instantly runs to one of them and starts screaming, "This child is stealing my car. Arrest him. The cops want to see my license etc." Karen now super angry screams, "No, that's fake. Don't let him drive." After she said that, my friend and my co-workers who watched all of this told the cops what happened. One of the cops said, "Karen, follow me. You are under arrest for harassment and for attempted car theft." Then a kid 15 or 16 tells me that has SRY for that and that his mom is the biggest Karen in the world. I drove home with my friends and we both wondered what happened there and how many brain cells we lost. Yeah, that was my first encounter with a Karen and I think I lost 20 brain cells. I hope you enjoyed this story. SRY if my English isn't perfect in German. Alright, so this is a small story, but I thought it was fitting enough to share. English is not my first language. I, 20F, live in another apartment with other 2 girls my age. Each of us has a whole room for ourselves. In March, when the quarantine suddenly started, both of my flatmates left to their parents' houses. That same week I stayed in the flat alone. A few weeks later, my flatmates, we'll call her M, parents came back with her to pick all of her stuff properly, since she had left the majority of it in our apartment because she had left in a rush. Knowing they were visiting, I cleaned up the house a little. Once they arrived, they went into their daughter's room just to find it a complete mess. This is how my flatmate had left it because she was pretty lazy to tidy up most times. M's mom, who's a total Karen. "This house is so dirty." Me, "Well, I cleaned up a bit, but I've still got some." To M's mom, "Yeah, well, you didn't because my daughter's room is a mess. Look." I kind of just stood there, kind of not believing this woman was seriously suggesting I had to tidy up her daughter's room, not knowing how to explain to her that by I cleaned up I was talking about the common zones, the corridors, the living room, the kitchen. That's all. It's short and it doesn't really have a moral reward. Even though this woman has had more Karen episodes, I don't think I'll ever be able to let her know how entitled she is. I still think this is a funny story. ME equals ME. EM equals entitled mother. EF equals entitled father. SB equals SPOILED brat. I was out shopping to try and get some essentials for my disabled grandmother who I have not been able to see until the idiot Boris eased the lockdown restrictions. I was down because my dog, named Kino, died because he was run over. I had just reached the toilet paper aisle in Tesco and I saw there was only 1 roll left, so I rushed to grab it and had just done so when the M appears. "Excuse me," she says in a shrewd voice, "my son was exposed to the virus and he needs this otherwise he'll be very sick." The woman tapped the boy on the shoulder and he looked up and coughed twice. 2 seconds later, "Ma'am, my grandmother can't leave the house and she's running out. I really need this." I said, "I don't care, that woman's probably gonna die anyway." The M says, "I was shocked. How dare she say such a thing?" While I was emotionally scarred from my dog's death, the SB coughed again, and the M said, "See, he really needs it now, hand it over." "Ma'am, with all due respect, if your son has been exposed to the virus he shouldn't be outside anyway." I snapped. The M clearly didn't like it, so she reaches out to grab it from my trolley. I was appalled. "Excuse me ma'am, you're breaking government guidelines on social distancing. Please avoid contact." The child suddenly started a coughing fit, and the woman pushes him towards me and says, "I'll get my child to cough on you if you don't give me the Toilet paper. I looked at her firmly and said, no, I have the right to buy this product, and she quickly replied, you're probably gonna steal it anyway. I was disgusted at her blatant racism towards my African descent, and I was going to start shouting, but I decided to be the bigger person and walked away while she yelled racist slurs behind me anyway. My grandmother is doing better now, and I have decided to shop at Sainsbury's from now on. This is a friend's anecdote and they have given me permission to post. Players, EA, entitled Aunt K1, EA's Kid 1 K2, EA's Kid 2 in 1, K1's in-laws. So the setting is, K1 got married a couple of years ago. In one are nice people. They conducted the wedding with lots of pomp and left no stone unturned, but even this fell short for EA anyway. K1 couple are happy and try not to get into EA's fiddling. Fast forward a couple of years, K2 getting married. EA calls up in 1 and tells them asterisk K2 is getting married. I have to organize sweets and gifts for the wedding party. I will send you the requirements. You have to buy it and send it to me asterisk. Unfortunately, in 1 played along for the happiness of K1 couple. K1 knows about these shenanigans, but doesn't get into discussions with EA because her response is, you don't know how things work, so don't lecture me. So my dad worked as an oil field worker before COVID-19 started, and when he got home he was a little bit pissed, but he would calm down after a bit of sleep. However, he would always want me to go make his coffee and make his food. I did at that time because he was working 16 to 20 hours a day and just doesn't have the energy. But as of March 19th, the company is in full shutdown mode, and my dad has gotten even worse. Now he asks me to do things constantly, and those include taking a 1.5 hour walk to 7-Eleven to get him hot dogs for lunch. He waits until I'm streaming to ask me to do things, and he's been making fun of me for how useless I'm because I tripped and broke my nose on the counter trying to put the perfect amount of milk into his mac and cheese. I also do all the chores. I'm being pressured to get a job when he knows I want to keep streaming because it's going well, and any bit of allowance my mom tries to give me for doing everything. She can't really do chores because she has a really bad autoimmune disorder, and if she touches anything or even puts her hands in water it burns. But he takes every cent I get to pay for his new video games, and there's been a few times that I've had to secretly ask my mom for money just to get myself food because he sometimes refuses to let me eat. And he waits until after I've done insulin as well. It's ridiculous. Thanks for listening to my TED Talk. Sorry for the bad spacing. I'm more of math kid than English kid, so SRYTLDR. My father's an incompetent asshole. So who in this case is my mom absolutely hates the kids who come down our block. We live at the very end of a dead end and play games, ride their bikes, dance, whatever. Yeah, they're kinda loud, but they're kids and have been cooped up for months and are hyperactive. You try rolling 20 toddlers and kids under 10 into submission, it won't work. Anyway, these kids all play on the street, city property, not on our lawn nor house. Some might go in the driveway, but it's usually to watch the subway since we border it, and they usually climb on the wall and are out of the way of the cars. So anyway, today, tears out of the house and begins yelling at the kids to go away and be quiet, and it's her property etc etc. Then one of the older siblings or parents or SMTH comes over to try to calm her down. Starts yelling broken Spanish phrases. Asterisk THEY apostrophe areolation. So here's my Chinese immigrant dad and half Chinese brother and I just staring at her, and she comes back inside and we just go off on her. They're Asian, not Latino. You're literally married to a Chinese man, how can you not see this? She replies they are asterisk MOST definitely Central American and not Asian, and we are wrong, and proceeds to walk away. So tell my mom is a racist Karen. If you haven't seen the original post, here it is. https://www.reddit.com/r/entitled_trail_here_medium equals android_app _sourc equals share now. A week ago I was back in that area and was getting ready to go into that same trail. I found out that it actually links up several other hotspots and a bike shop, so I started using it to commute back and forth in different areas. I was getting ready to go through the area when Eb comes racing out her front door and steps in front of me. I stop and she starts throwing threats about calling the police and having me kicked out of my house. She doesn't have the ability to do that into my face. Instead of trying to cut her off, I'll let her waste her energy. When she is finally done and heaving for breath, I ask her a question: is it okay if I walk through this area with my bike? I don't think she was expecting me to be polite, and I honestly wasn't either. She took a bit to answer, but she eventually said, "That would be lovely, dear." And that is all that really happened. She went back into her house and I walked my bike through the area. I haven't ridden that trail in a while, and I don't plan on it. Looking at it without speed, it is really bland. She is probably a really nice lady, but I wouldn't know for sure. After that incident I never saw her again. This was something my friend witnessed at a resort a few weeks ago. I wasn't there, so I'll just give a short rundown. My friend was waiting in line for a ride at the resort they were staying at when somebody in front of them asks a teenager and a mother to respect social distancing. You can tell where this is going. The entitled mother freaked out, screaming that my child will be perfectly safe. He's perfect. Then she starts ranting about how social distancing won't keep them safe when the employee, who probably doesn't get paid enough to handle this crap, tries to calm her down. She screams that they don't need the mask and rips it off his face. She does this to other patrons until she and her perfect kid have to leave. My mum owns a farm, and every year she has a community day where various people volunteer to entertain the local children. I have a face paint stall where for 3 hours I paint faces for free with my own materials. An hour into it, Em enters the scene and asks me whether I've seen her daughter's phone. I say I saw a pinkish phone on the table, but that was a while ago and I don't know where it is now. Turns out that was her daughter's phone, so naturally she then accuses me of stealing it. I told her she can check my bag, as I haven't left this seat for ages. She searches my phoneless bag and then accuses a volunteer face painter of being in cahoots with me to steal the phone. It goes back and forth like this for a while, me denying, her accusing. She ends up being so belligerent that I tell her to leave the property. She screams at me, telling me that a 22-year-old cannot evict her. She says she wants to see the owner of the property. We find the owner and she freaks out when I say back quote, "Hi mum, can you kick this woman out? She left in haste," cursing me. Edit. Thanks everyone for the awards and comments. I don't know what happened to the phone, but the experience did teach me 2 lessons. Karens look just like regular folk. Don't let their normal appearance fool you. They're nuts, and also 12-year-olds and expensive new iPhones are a bad combo. Entitled parent attempts to steal my cupcake. So, a bit of background. When I was about 3 to 4 I had a very long list of food allergies. These include milk, wheat, eggs, and peanuts. So I was at a friend's birthday party, minding my own business, eating the food my mom had packed for me. Everything at the party had at least one of my allergens. When the entitled parent and nice child walked up at this point, I was eating a carrot cupcake that my mom had baked. Em demands I give her child my cupcake, saying, "Stop eating your stupid stuff and eat the cake and pizza." Note, I had slight speech problems and I sounded small and unsure all the time. I stammer out, "This is my cupcake, I'm allergic to the cake." The entitled mother proceeds to yank my cupcake from my hands, throws it on the ground and walks away. I sit there sulking for a bit, but then I remember I still had some left. I resume eating my cupcake. When Em comes back with a slice of cake, she says, "Eat this and give the cupcake to my child now." This cake had peanut butter, which causes an anaphylactic reaction. If I'm too close to the cake, I push the cake away and scooch over. Now she attempts to grab my cupcake, and in a stroke of pure genius, I did what any 4 years old would do. I spit all over my cupcake. I sat there solemnly as she walked away, enjoying the moment of my victory. I was in a Walmart buying potatoes and I hear a Karen say, "I'm getting sick of COVID. Let's just round up the sick people and shoot them." Her friend says, "Well, actually I hear that's what they are doing in China. They have death camps in China to murder those spreading COVID-19. I sat there completely shocked by what I heard, and suddenly my BF said, if that happened you would be the first one to be shot in the head. Karen at once said what? We got our potatoes, butter, and shredded cheese as she kept saying who the duck said that, who the hell said that. So a few months ago I typed up a post about my mom, who is an entitled mother. The post is archived now sadly. Well, this is about before all of that I typed up my mom is a damn near psychopath in her own way, she expecting everything to be hers in our old house yet she did nothing. She was a huge narcissist. When she was evicted from her trailer house in Georgia she moved up into North Carolina. Even though she was like a little child she stayed in her room the entire time and did nothing to help with rent or anything. One day my dad went into her room and politely asked if she has money for rent. My mom, being my mom and wanting everything her way, complained to my dad about not having the money cause she blew it all on herself and on her room. She has a habit of doing that. When my dad said you knew you had to pay rent this month, my mom started yelling at him, calling him an asshole and a drunk. I was there playing Minecraft in her room cause she didn't do anything to talk to us, so she threw and barks in her room so we can spend time with her on Christmas. My dad got my 2 older brothers some bikes. My mom, being my mom and wanting to act like the better parent, claimed they are from her. My dad didn't care. My mom always have seen herself as the perfect mother, even though sadly she isn't. My dad has been raising kids that aren't even his, my 2 older brothers. When she finally left North Carolina because she found a boyfriend that can support her cause she can't support herself, she convinced my 2nd oldest brother Zachary that my dad was abusive even though he wasn't, and my mom just wanted to seem better. My mom would always tell my twin and I lies about our father that we would tell our dad about, and he would disprove. My mom would say every abusive thing she did was either a joke or it didn't exist, which that pissed me off the most. When she lived with us in North Carolina she got mad at and choked me and stopped when my face was turning red. But no, she is the best, most ducking positive mother out there. She once told Zachary that she should have aborted him or swallowed him. Who the hell tells that to their kid? But ask her about it and she gets confused and ask what you are talking about. She used to make lots of dry bland cornbread. One winter morning when it was cold and it was raining she asked if we liked it. We said no. She kicked us out of her car and left us in the cold rain. But no, that was just a joke. This is why I despise my mom and her false positivity. She will stab and talk poop behind my dad's as if that will try to convince me and my twin that he is a bad person. She only makes herself look bad. My dad has raised every kid that has been in his household, and my mom is barely there for them cause she was either cheating on my dad when they were married or looking for a boyfriend that can financially support her. She is scum. I know she is my mother, but no, she is scum. I have her on mute on my phone and I hope she never contacts me. I'm sorry for any spelling errors.